Hi, I just want to make this video with regards to the situation that I've found myself in, being the father of a child that I've never met or seen. Me and my ex were in a relationship for a very short relationship for about 6 months. She fell pregnant, and soon after falling pregnant, she decided she didn't want to be in the relationship anymore, so she broke it off. I was tried to stay in contact with her. I didn't ever get a reply, but I wanted to know the progress of her pregnancy, and I was interested in getting to know the child, but didn't get any response from messages that I'd left or emails or anything like that, so I left it at that. I knew more or less when the due date was, and the due date came and went, and I still heard nothing. 2 or 3 months after the due date, I got a phone call from the CSA demanding maintenance, child support maintenance, and not knowing anything about the CSA or how they operate or anything like that. I did say to them, I was happy to pay the child support, and whether I could see the child and have visitation. And they informed me at the time, this was 8 or 9 years ago, because my son is he's turning 9. They said to me that because your name is not on the birth certificate, you haven't got any rights. So, it's something I find very hard to come to terms with. The fact that my son has got to grow up with a birth certificate that says father unknown. The mother knows who the father is, but chose not to put the father's name down on the birth certificate. It's just crazy that the law allows for this, Anyway, I set up the payment plan, and I wasn't in a financial situation to start with the whole court proceeding to get visitation. I had to leave it for a while. But then a strange thing happened 3 months after I started paying child support. I got an email from her brother. And it was quite a lengthy email that he wrote to me, and he basically outlined the fact that I just wanted to let you know that my sister had planned the pregnancy from the start, and he gives a whole lot of information in the email. And he said that they did try and warn me at a family get-together that we had at the one time. He did try and warn me about what his sister's intentions were, but unfortunately, it would have been too late by then, because she will have been pregnant at that point. But then another interesting thing he mentions in the email, he says that his sister was going to report me to HMRC because I'm self-employed, she was going to report me to HMRC. And after getting this email, it was such a shock to me to read that she had not only planned the pregnancy, but she had also reported me to HMRC. And within 3 months of her having the child, I had HMRC doing a full-blown tax investigation, which lasted 2 years at a cost of £10,000. You know, instigated by this ex for no reason. Anyway, after doing some research online, and I've read on a few forums how mothers, if they've got any dispute with the child maintenance amount that they're getting, the child support, and the father is self-employed, what they do is report them to HMRC to do a tax investigation to make sure that all of their books are correct and up to date, and that they're not fiddling any money, so that they're paying the full child support. And I just think that this is such a low thing to do. I was prepared to pay the child support. And anyway, at the end of my tax investigation that lasted 2 years, and it almost caused me a nervous breakdown, HMRC didn't find that I'd done anything wrong. So, you know, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And then another point that the brother brings up in the email, which I basically knew from her part, she's got an elder daughter. And while we were in the relationship, you know, the conversation came up about the child's dad and what have you, and he never sees the child, and oh, why? I know, because her words were, he's a sperm donor. And what actually happened is her ex never wanted a child. She wanted a child, and what she would do was, when she was taking the pill, and he insisted that he take the pill, that she take the pill in front of him, she would put it underneath her tongue and spit it out. And anyway, she fell pregnant, and their relationship split up because, you know, that she was in the relationship to have a child. She had the child. She could never sue her ex for maintenance, because at the time he was working offshore, and the child maintenance services couldn't do much about it. Anyway, so yeah, I'm pretty much stuck in a situation where I'm not allowed to see my child, my son. I've got to pay maintenance. I've got an email from her brother saying she intentionally was with me just to have a child. Many times after I received this email, I've sent her emails questioning her, asking her, why would she have done that to me? And she has never defended the fact that she's fallen pregnant intentionally. And I just think that is wrong on so many levels. As it stands now, my son is 8.5. I have not met him. Me and my son have lost out on 8.5 years because she refuses to let me see him. No, there's no grounds for, it's just she doesn't want me to see him. Now, it took me quite a while to get psychologically, it's taken from the time I had my tax investigation and knowing that she intentionally went out with me to fall pregnant and have a child and exclude me from being on the birth certificate, and then to take me to court for child support. That took quite a knock on me psychologically, and it's taken me 5 years to try and get over that. So I went to go and see my doctor about it because I was, I almost had a nervous breakdown with this deception and then my tax investigation on top of it. I went to go and see my doctor about it and explained the story to him, and they wanted to put me on a course of antidepressants, which I never ended up taking. I left it at that. But anyway, that's another story. So I managed to deal with it and try and just be a better person for it. And I decided 1.5 years ago, well, what I'll do is save up the money. It's £2,000 at least to get this case to court, just to be able to get visitation. So I did this. I got together the money, went to go and see solicitors, and they got the ball rolling to get the thing to court. Then I got involved with CASCAF. See this lot of here, those people. They kind of like put together a report for the court to look at the mother's situation, the father's situation, all the rest of it. Anyway, so we appeared in court for the first hearing, and the judge said, or CASCAF rather, said, we want a report on the father's mental health. So I got the report of the father's mental health, mine, and CASCAF, the mother had put into the court, or to CASCAF, that she didn't want the child's father and the child to meet because he had a disability. And the disability came out that he had autism. And at the next court hearing, she would have to bring evidence of the severity or what stage of autism he had. And apparently he hadn't even had the tests done yet. So her argument was he's got a disability, which is supposedly autism. None of the tests have been done to establish his level of autism, but that's her grounds for me for not allowing me to see my son. Anyway, I went along to my doctor, got my mental health record from them. They did all the necessary police checks against me and stuff like that. And then it turned out that in my doctor's report that they had put in that I had suffered from depression. And I chose not to take the medication and this and that. So that, the whole episode with my son went down on my medical history report, and this was having to go forward to the court to see if I was mentally stable or what, I don't know. Anyway, there was another, what CASCAF did, they did another report. They interviewed me, I had to go in, and then they interviewed the mother. And then they asked a whole lot of questions and that, and I got a copy of the report. And in the report, CASCAF mentioned the fact that the autism, they were still waiting on the results. This report was going to go to the judge before the second hearing, and they had mentioned in there that nobody had actually established the fact that he had autism, but it was in the early stages of them doing whatever tests and things like that. So already at that stage, she was trying to look for some other excuse for me not to see the child. And, you know, to me, it's just crazy. And in the report to CASCAF, they obviously asked her questions about what I was like during the 6-month brief relationship. And the lies that she had told in this report, I just couldn't believe. She was saying things that were just, I don't know, I'm still speechless that a person can actually lie like that, knowing that these documents are going in front of a judge, that you can actually lie like that. It's just, it's beyond me. Anyway, it was at this point that I pretty much knew that I don't think it was going to be a good idea for me and my son to meet, because during this whole court thing, the whole thing about the court case is whether it's in the child's best interest, okay? Now, her argument in the report is she does not think it's in the child's best interest to meet his dad because he's got a disability. The child has got a disability. Now, how is this not in the child's best interest to meet his dad? Autism. Jesus, if tests were done on me 40 years ago, I would have qualified for being autistic, without a doubt. And it leaves me speechless that the guy, my son, is deprived of getting to know his father because he's got autism. Anyway, so going back to the best interests of the child, yes, I completely agree with that. And I said in my response to that, I believe it is in the child's best interest for him to get to know his father. I like Land Rovers. I've got a Land Rover. I've got a boat. I've got a motorbike. I've got a lot of boys' toys. And for my son to be missing out on... I haven't got any children. Not here anyway. I've got 2 daughters. They both in South Africa. One is 21. The other one is 33. They come out here to visit me. And we got a lovely relationship, myself and my 2 daughters. I haven't got a son, and I'm missing out on so much, and he is as well. I might not be here in 10 years' time. Legally, he'll be allowed to see me in 10 years' time. I could be dead. So yeah, in the child's best interests, I feel it is in his best interest for him to get to know me. I haven't got a criminal record. I've got a clean house. I don't know. It's just bizarre that I've got to be treated like this when, I've got a successful little business. I'm well known in the community. Cascaf they don't even know how I live. I could be living in squalor, but that didn't seem to interest them. Anyway, going back to the child's best interests. Excuse me for having this. When all of these lies were told in the Cascaf report, I had a serious think about the consequences of going to court and the judge awarding me visitation. And it was a very difficult thing for me to have to do. Because based on the lies that the mother has told about me and what she is capable of, and her own brother puts in the email that he sent me a few years back, just how calculated, and I'll find the part of here. She'll stop at nothing. Report me to the authorities. Anyway, I'll find that in a bit. Now, I had to think quite hard about that because I'm going to be leaving myself open to a lot of problems if I did let the next court case take place and for the judge to give me visitation. With somebody like this that I'm dealing with, after the lies that she told in the report, I did not believe it was any more that it was going to be in my son's best interest for us to meet. And how I came to this conclusion, if she's lied in our relationship and after the relationship, and she was lying now to the courts, blatant lying. And I still wrote to the judge and I said, that I wanted to withdraw the case because now I don't think it's in the child's best interest for us to meet based on the lies that are being told. And I would be more than willing to partake in a lie detector test. I know that this would never happen, but, you know, what else do I say? And why I would be leaving myself up open and causing a lot of grief for my son, because if I did get the visitation, all she needs to do is, on our first or second visit, to start saying, fabricating stories, to say, you know, the child is peeing in his bed at night, or he's having nightmares ever since he's met his dad. It's all these kind of things that she's very capable of fabricating. And that's going to cause a lot of problems for him, because people are going to be asking him questions. He'll end up going to a psychiatrist and all sorts of things. And I just don't see that that's right for a young kid who hasn't done anything wrong to be subjected to all of these things. So unfortunately, I had to, after all of this that I went through, I had to write to the judge, and I had to be completely honest with myself, knowing that it's not going to be in his best interest for me to meet. So I had to withdraw from the case. And that was such a hard thing to do, knowing that I was so close to seeing my son after 8.5 years. And he's only down, well, not down the road, he's 30 miles away. He lives 30 miles away, and he has done for 8.5 years, and I've never met him. I've seen a photograph of him on Facebook, and that is about it. So that's pretty much my story. I feel very isolated and alone with this, because there's nothing you can do about it. Absolutely nothing. And I just think it's very sad that my son is losing out, not only getting to know me, but getting to know my parents, his grandparents. And in 10 years' time, my parents won't be here anymore. You just think, but how is the law such that a person can get away with this? It is just not right. My name not being on the birth certificate, when the mother knew full well who the father was. She knew who to tell on at the CSA. She knew exactly where to knock for money, but she didn't know where to put who the father was when they asked at the hospital. How is that possible? Anyway, yeah, I've got files full of papers, and the only I don't even think it's a comfort, but the only thing left for me to do is, when my son is old enough, at least I will have evidence of me trying to get visitation to see him. And I don't know how it'll turn out when he's older, because I feel that it's right that he knows the whole story, and I don't know. I just don't. Like I said before, I feel very, very alone with this. I feel very isolated. I know it probably has happened to other men out there. Well, it will have happened to other men out there. But a lot of this kind of thing is all hearsay, about how do you prove somebody has fallen pregnant intentionally? How do you actually prove that? My proof is this email, and even in the brother's email, the brother says over here that he would appear in court for me if need be. I don't know why he said that. But yeah, there's my HMRC without prejudice tax investigation that happened. They went back 7 years in my life, all for nothing, just for somebody being vindictive and wanting to make sure that they're getting the right amount of money that they're entitled to after falling pregnant intentionally. And where her pregnancy thing was, she said she couldn't fall pregnant. She was lucky to have had her eldest child, and she could not get pregnant. That was her words to me. I didn't know she was on the pill. So yeah, just, it's quite lousy to be lied to like that, and influencing my life and having an impact on my life for the rest of my life, just because of your own selfish needs. And yeah, unfortunately, the law makes it very easy for people that do these kind of things. They can hide behind the law. They can get away with it, And I just, anyway, I just thought I'd share my story.